So we can have a whole discussion if energy really exists or not. But in daily life, there are some things, if there is not something as a connection between people, we cannot understand. You know, when you get angry with me, and I can feel that you're angry. I can not only see it, but I can also feel it. We can disguise it and we can feel it. You know, and sometimes we really feel that something from another person is coming towards you. You know, you didn't see each other for a long time, and then you go to the railway station and you see your love coming out of the train. And there's this kind of, you can feel, the movement. We all have had experiences like that. But we felt that a feeling or an emotion is moving towards us. So, how is it possible that we know when somebody is far away what state he is in?
Thank you.
It's depending on your sensitivity. But we tend to know things like this if we're not too much locked inside our body.
Is it almost like when you just all of a sudden you start to think of a friend? And
Exactly.
then
How is that
I always
possible?
call them because it's like, okay, there's a reason that they're coming in. So often they're not feeling great, or
Something is going on.
something's going on.
Yeah, and of course, you can kind of say all of this is coincidence. But, you know, if it happens too often, it cannot be coincidence. How is it possible that we walk in a certain room and we feel a certain atmosphere? And the next time we walk in, there is a different atmosphere. How is that possible? How is it possible that one wood with the same trees has a different atmosphere as another wood with the same trees? And what information are we picking up? Is this only physical? So there is, you know, a test you can do is kind of get blindfolded and let somebody kind of move you around. And then it becomes very clear, you know, that you feel a change of atmospheres. Some atmospheres feel very light and easy, and other atmospheres you kind of get a little bit, oh God, what's happening here? You recognize this?
Yeah.
Yay! Welcome!
Sorry for having me.
It's okay, sorry for starting too early. So how is this possible? So it means something is holding information. Information which is not directly connected with the physical appearance of something. There is more information there. There is some fluidum which is holding information, and this information comes to us and we respond to it. Georgie loves me sometimes. So there's this kind of feeling of love coming towards me, and so I feel it here. It's a nice feeling. I like that feeling. And then what's happening is I feel a response. Joof, my heart opens as well, and there's this atmosphere of love. The same happens with anger. She's irritated. So I feel it kind of, and I respond. We have a tendency to respond on the same level. If somebody's angry with you, our response in the first place will be in anger. That's not always very handy and the best way to respond. If there's a fearful atmosphere, we respond with fear. If there is an open, relaxed atmosphere, our system starts to relax and we respond with relaxation. You recognize what I'm talking about? It's very strong when we go to the movie theater. There's a movie, change of atmosphere very quickly, and everybody's kind of, moving with the emotions of the movie. And then, when somebody's moving in the total different. You have this kind of pain in the asses, you know. There you're in a movie and something really creepy is happening, and then somebody makes a joke, which is totally off the energy which is shared. That's so annoying. You recognize it's like, you know, like the magic is broken at that moment. The magic of all moving through the same motion.
Or also in the class when the teacher is when the teacher is trying to get an atmosphere of the class, and then one children just make a funny joke or something like that, and everything just
breaks. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Yeah.
Or cynical about it or something.
Yeah, there's something like that. That absolutely can happen. So you shatter the energy for a moment, which is built up. So
it's like you are with people and there is a couple that is angry about something that he has in the morning.
Yeah.
And you feel the atmosphere, you don't know why, but
exactly.
you feel tension.
Something is going on, some dready atmosphere on the background.
Some demons.
Or in the opposite, a couple that come from honeymoon or something like this, you feel
exactly, or who made love in the morning, and there's a very good atmosphere from that. That's also a different atmosphere.
Or when you watch a movie at home with your family, and then there's like a nudity or a sex on the screen, and then you feel like, oh, what's that movie?
Mommy!
Get a room. Yeah. So basically, you know, when we start talking about it, we all recognize atmospheres. So what do you think is more true? The atmosphere you recognize somewhere, or what you think about it? Or what is told you what you have to think about it?
What you feel, because there's no.
But it can be hard, you know.
Because
You know, your partner is angry with you.
Particular because of your past experience.
Yeah, exactly.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It can be confusing.
You know, atmospheres basically never lie. You cannot change atmospheres by thought directly. Atmospheres don't lie.
You can change your response.
What? But we can change our response to an atmosphere by our thoughts. But atmospheres, you know, basically, you know, if you go in the wood, there is a certain atmosphere. This atmosphere cannot lie. If you enter a house, there is a certain atmosphere in a family. The atmosphere in the family cannot lie. But we can change our response. We can enter a place, and it's told us this is the most holy place in the world. So we will look for the holiness, but the atmosphere can be awful.
So then we lie to ourselves?
We have a tendency to lie to ourselves, to kind of have to feel what we are taught,
We think we're meant to feel.
what we meant to feel. So we basically, with our mind, can change our feeling. And this is how we create something else. Illusion, basically. But this is always creating stress. Like there's a doubleness in it. It creates stress. It creates separation. You know, the same example, we're in a movie theater all together. We're watching a movie, James Bond. You know, there's a lot of things happening, and you know, there's this bad guy, and we all kind of, you know, we hate the bad guy. Something, he should be punished. So this is a movement. And then, you know, you decide that you hope that James Bond will die and the bad guy will live. So you start to see the bad guy is good. So what do? If you just imagine what you're doing.
Looking for the good stuff that he's doing.
Looking for the good stuff the bad guy is doing, looking for the bad stuff James Bond is doing, and there's enough, I can tell you. But to do that, we need to separate ourselves. We need to separate ourselves from the pack, from the general atmosphere, to create something else.
But it's not very stressing to be interviewed all the
This
time.
is absolutely...
Not to be relaxed.
It's absolutely stressful. Yeah, it's absolutely stressful. It's absolutely stressful. But what if the whole pack moves with a belief and an atmosphere which will lead to self-destruction? So part of our education here on this planet is to think for yourself. But then to think for yourself, partly we start often by kind of, think contra. When we grow up, at a certain moment we have to kind of separate from our parents, and then we have this teenage years, puberty. And everything what our parents are saying, are thinking, oh, ichsa. Even the way they're eating, the sounds they're making when the food is in their mouth, it's cannot stand it. And this is biological. And partly in this, the ideas they have, we take a distance also. It's when we say, I never want to be like my father. Sometimes you never grow over it as well, or I never want to be like my mother. It's where we start to think for ourselves. We really separate from the atmosphere in the family. Before that, the atmosphere in the family is the truth. When we're 10 years old, we're like police officers in it. We can tell exactly how it works to our parents, and we kind of say, no, it's not like that, Daddy. You shouldn't do like that. You told me this and this and this, so you should behave like this as well.
I'm right there, right now.
Yeah, it's in the atmosphere of the family, and so this is how it is. So they tell you how to act, how to behave towards your partner. Our daughter does it a little bit as well. When we irritate a little bit with each other, she comes to me and says, "You should love Ima." Kiss, yes. It's kind of sweet. So this kind of they hold an atmosphere, and this is the atmosphere, and this is how it should be. Together with rules and whatever you bring forward. So when we look to this, when we grow up, we have to separate from this atmosphere, and we have to build our own reality in a way. To build our own way, own unique way to look at things, to perceive things. And this is also true, that each human being is perceiving reality in his own unique way. We have a unique set of qualities. And at the same time, the basis structure of these qualities is all the same. It's like, we are painting, but the basic colors of the painting are the same, but each painting is slightly different. Our nerve system is different from each other. It's basically the same, but it's slightly different. It means that nobody is seeing colors exactly as Georgi here. Everybody sees colors in his own way. Nobody hears sounds exactly the same way. Nobody is thinking exactly the same way. If you look to the wiring of the brain, it's quite different from person to person. So we all are living here according to our own reality. So there is a lot of tension, and this is between the energy fields, which are, you know, when we talked about it in the movie, where it's relaxed to move with everybody. So this is basically what's binding us, what's bringing us together. It's the social field. This is the atmospheres. And the individual who's perceiving the movie in his own individual way, unique. So part of the problems we have, and that's part of the problems why energy fields are not so recognized, is because we're still in development, we're in a struggle of either or. Either you go with the masses, or you are an individual. So the next step in evolution basically is an and. And being an individual and moving with the masses. If we look at this picture, so some of the fields are really individual and some of the fields are more general. So if we look, these are the different energetic fields around us and through us. So they move through the physical body and they move around the physical body. So if you look to the light blue line, which is very close to the physical body, you can see that around the black line. The same shape as the physical body. So this is called the etheric body. It's in Dutch, but it's etheric. It's etheric. Etheric body. And the etheric body is moving through the physical body and around the physical body. It's very, very close to the physical. Almost everybody is able to see the etheric when he's really relaxed, but we kind of, push it away as, not real. It's a mistake of the eye. But it's like a yellowish or a grayish layer which is around people, around stones, around the flowers, around everything.
The brighter.
Yeah. It's brighter, you can see it as brighter, or you can see it as a little bit darker. Depends on the state. And when you walk in nature, sometimes you see it around, a branch or, leaves or whatever, or you can see it around a person, but always from the edge of your eye. Not when you look to a person directly, but when you look like this, you can kind of see some gray there happening, or some bright or some light. And then the moment you look with your eyes, you don't see it anymore.
Why is that?
Because when we look, we focus on the physical. If you learn to unfocus on energetic, you can see it as well when you look to a person. But then you don't really connect with the physical of the person. It's how you focus. It's an either or. It's a different vibration. Mm-hmm. So we can learn ourselves, or teach ourselves to say it like this, learn to to look to the difference of vibrations by staying in this vibration. So the etheric is a very important body, because the etheric is very much connected with our nerve system, with the whole physical body, but especially also with the nerve system. That means all information which is coming from the other layers of the aura. So the astral aura is very much what I talked about. This is connected with these atmospheres, the general atmospheres, what we share. So what we feel, feelings coming to us, are coming through the astral. General atmospheres is coming through the astral. So if we in the movie,
Etheric, or it's another body?
that's the astral, that's the layer around it.
Ah, okay.
So,
That's the big one around it. So all information which is coming through the astral is coming through the etheric to the physical. And we only notice it when it's physical. Every impression we have is moved through the nerve system to be able to hold it. You understand? We are physical right now. That means everything has to come back to the physical. Every impression has to come to the physical to be able to do something with it. So the nerve system is responding to it. Our brain is responding to it. So to bring it from energetic, what we say, or more refined, to more physical, it has to kind of move through the etheric. The etheric is catching it, and the etheric is bringing it towards the physical. And partly the etheric is doing this through etheric organs. And this etheric organs, this is what we call chakras. So we've got 7 main chakras, and all these chakras are kind of bringing information from the outside towards the physical, and from the physical back towards the atmosphere around yourself. So that's what I talked about before. You know, if somebody's angry with you, it moves through the hara to the physical, and there is a response through the hara back again.
So the atmospheric body catches everything from our environment.
Yes.
And moves it through the etheric, and the etheric then moves it
To
through
the
nervous
physical.
system.
To the physical. So if you look to a chakra, of course, when you see it up front, it's like, you know, it looks like a plate. But basically, it moves in, gets smaller, 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 goes to the center of the spine. I give a drawing later. And then at the back side, it kind of moves out again, and there is also a chakra in the back. It's the same chakra.
Like a funnel.
Like a funnel.
Oh, okay.
So it moves the energy like a funnel to the center of the spine, and at the back out.
Then back out.
Yeah.
so you also send information to the atmosphere.
Exactly. The movement is in 2 directions at the same time. So it means information is going in, and that's the primary movement, and information is moving out, that's the secondary movement. Because in the basis we are responsive. We respond to the environment. So this etheric organs, basically what they're doing, they bring information and send information. And all the 7 main chakras are connected with the central nerve system, with the spine. So that's the whole spine, which is in the back, and the brain stem, which is the last part of the spine underneath the brain, in the center of the brain. All the chakras are 7 main chakras are located there. There's other secondary chakras, and they're connected also to nerve knots or main nerves. So every chakra is connected to the nerve system. What's important to understand is when we die, so the physical body is falling apart and becoming part of earth matter again. The etheric body is also falling apart. So that means if we die, we lose our chakras. We don't need them. Because, when we don't have a physical body, we don't need the chakra to communicate between what's energetic and what's physical. So we don't need it.
Because we become energy again, and there's no physical.
Whatever we become. We don't need the physical anymore at that moment.
The chakras help us to connect with the physical body and to the etheric body, and then we don't need them because we don't have the physical body.
We don't have the physical body, so we don't need the etheric body with its organs, which are the chakras. Mm-hmm. But then, what is important to understand is that the etheric body is not only a body to which all information from all dimensions is kind of is entering towards the physical, but it's also our memory bank.
The etheric body is
a memory. It's a memory bank. The etheric body, the whole etheric body, is acting like a memory bank. Of course, memory is also stored in the physical. It's stored in the physical. It's stored in the etherical. So that means that the etheric of us is containing all the memories of our lives.
That's why it's gone when we're done.
Sorry?
That's why it's gone when we come in another life. Because
Yes.
the memories left with the etheric
Are gone. So when you look at this memory, this is absolute memory. This is not how we remember things. We can enter the etheric when we move into, a deep contemplation about, when you were 3 years old and you were playing into the sand under a tree, and then you get a whole picture with the atmosphere, everything. You can hear the sounds of the birds. It's a complete memory. And it's not only what we remember is, what's happening inside ourselves, but we also memorize what's happening in the people around ourselves. We memorize what's the impact of them on us and what's our impact on them. The communication which takes place. So our memory is much more complete sometimes as what we are aware of in the moment. So that's why when we go back into memory, we can, get more information as we had in the moment. We all do this sometimes, that you go back in your memory, what exactly happened. And then you get more information, because there is more information as you caught in the moment. You recognize what I'm talking about? So it's an absolute memory bank. That means if you've seen this picture once, in the etheric it's there forever. It memorizes it. So that's partly how absolute memory is working. If the etheric is free, then it's very easy to memorize. You just need to look at the letters of a book, you memorize the book, you can get it back, it's there. It's like there's a photo made by the etheric memory. It's very, very complete. And that's not only of the things you see, it's also of the things you feel, your thoughts, what are the thoughts of the people around yourself. Everything is collected. It's very, very rich, very complete. It's a complete encyclopedia of every moment in your life. And of course, all of this memory is colored by your own individual, unique experience. That means that Georgie's memory bank is different from my memory bank. It has a different
same
taste.
event.
From the same event.
Okay.
So she's got a different view. So because she's got a different view, you know, there is a kind of a different reality unfolding, which in essence is the same reality. You can recognize the realities, but still it has a different impact. So that means we're here with 8 people, and that means that 8 different realities are unfolding here. 10 people. Count us as well. 10 people. 10 different realities are unfolding here.
But I did not understand the thing that you said about death. What is going out?
The body is going, I was not there yet, very good. The body is going into the earth, becomes part of the earth matter again. And the etheric becomes part of the etheric body of the earth. It also goes back to the earth. That means that this earth is containing, it's very well organized, it's containing all the memory of everything which has been living on this planet. And this is part of the evolution of the planet. This is how the planet kind of, you know, is developing itself, according also to all the memory of everything which has been living on the earth. So, you know, they talk about Akasha Chronicles, the Akasha Chronicles, which people visualize as a kind of big library where you can get all the information of whatever happened on this planet. And some people are able to enter it. So, and this Akasha Chronicles is nothing else as kind of, you know, a place in the etheric where the different lines of organization are coming together and you connect with it. And when you connect with it, you get very specific information of people who died or people who are alive. Because when we are alive, our etheric is still connected and part of the earth etheric. Like when we are alive, our physical body is still connected and part of the physical of earth. You know, we walk separately and we can jump in the air, but still we are part of the material of this planet, and there is a constant interchange of material.
Metabolism.
Yeah. So we part of matter here, and matter is part of us. And with the etheric is very much the same. So that means when we die, the memory of our life stays behind. It stays on this planet, it's part of this planet. So if we want to connect with this memory again, this is possible, because what we are taking with us is a little kind of a library card. It's the best way to describe it. So that's partly why we are able to remember past life structures, because we have these library cards on another level. We bring it with us, so we are able to see it. And when we passed over, you know, sometimes we are able to connect with the people who stayed behind. And again, we do this through the persona we have been in this life. The persona is built, you know, very much on the memory, connected with the mind, the I. You know, how do you express the experience of life? It's not what you are. I is not what you are, you know, and the I dies with you, the person dies with you. The person is basically etheric, it's based on memory.
And Bart, so with the etheric body, it's like contains all the information coming from the outside, but it also contains all the information coming
from the inside,
out.
Everything.
Okay.
The whole response, everything.
A
two-way street. Yeah.
So if you see someone who passed, you see his etheric body?
That's a possibility, but not really. It's a different kind of body, but he can use some etheric of the earth to form it in a certain pattern so that you can see something. It's a reflection, because the etheric body of somebody who passed over really kind of, absorbs. So the astral, sometimes people are holding on to the astral, but that's another story. I come to that later. So when you look at the etheric, it's built like a web. Like a 3-dimensional web when you look very close to it. And in this web there's lines, and every line is moving information, is moving energy. And this is not straight lines, but they're kind of, very tiny spirals. Everything is moving in a spiral. And then we have etheric streams. These are kind of, lines where much more information is moved, and that moves like a spiral as well, but that's a lot of lines glued together and spiraling around each other. A little bit like an electricity cable. It looks like each other. Electricity cable looks like an etheric line. So we have streams in the etheric, and we have points in the etheric where streams are coming together. There's more important points. Of course, where 2 lines are crossing, even the very fine lines, you have a point. And in this point there's a decision how the information will move, where it will move. Because it can move through different lines in different directions. So each point is deciding how it will move. It looks like a crystal. When you think about it, it looks like a crystal, how a crystal is moved, is built. And it looks like the brain. It looks like the connections between the neurons in the brain through the grey matter. Also here the neurons are saying how the information, the electricity is moved. It looks like a computer. Like chips in the computer. Where you have, in a little chip you have 1 million little dots who decide how the information...
Billion of switches.
Yes, like switches. So, everything looks like each other. So every point between lines is like a little switch. So basically the etheric is a very big chip. 3-dimensional chip. Which can contain an incredible amount of information. So how come that this information is not available all the time to us? This is the big question people ask, If we have this memory bank, which is absolute, how is it possible that we're not remember everything, every moment?
How does people know about that structure of that?
Partly by seeing it, partly by really investigating it, experiencing with it. This is kind of knowledge which is there already maybe for 10,000 years. It's very old knowledge, kind of, and people who are studying energy and looking at it again and again and again, it's a confirmation every time again, basically. It's old knowledge, and it's a really kind of a relief when you start to see the etheric and start to understand it, that there is knowledge which is acknowledging it. It says, okay, this is how it is.
So is this with the quantum physics? This is kind of
acknowledging it right now as well.
Acknowledge it in a scientific.
In a scientific way. Right now, it gets more and more acknowledged in a scientific way. Which is really, that's what Georgi brought forward.
This is the melding.
This is exactly what's happening now.
The proof.
Yeah.
It's kind of giving
and
them the proof.
This.
Okay.
But what you see in quantum physics is that they're incredibly slowed down by the conditioning of their minds. They're building quantum computers, which is the and of infinite probability.
Yeah.
In a regular computer is either or. But they're trying to build it and they don't know how to program it because their own minds are programmed on either or. Yeah. It's either this or that. And to write software for a computer that can do infinite probability and be quantumly entangled.
So we're not there yet. Like
Our
you said,
mind
when
is
we
not there
Our
yet.
mind is evolving.
Yeah, it's evolving slowly, but it's very, very, very interesting because, basically, right now, scientific proof of what I'm saying is coming forward and is getting used. But to be able to use it, we need to move through an evolution of the mind. You understand? It's an evolution of a mind to use a car or a laptop already. So there's a big evolution necessary right now from the either or into the and to be able to program.
The faculty of physics in the Technion is like a church. You go there, of all the faculties, the atmosphere there in the quantum physics department is really holy. They're sitting there going, voila. Because just to do the formulas, just to witness the experiments, to contemplate their research, they have to completely move into meditational states.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Well,
It's a good place to be.
Yes, physics is the subject.
So like the chakra is like a hub of points?
Yeah.
It's not connected.
No, a chakra is like a whirlpool.
It's like many...
Yeah, a lot of lines are coming together. So you have a
So heart
center of, a heart of lines and points. And then there is a kind of opening, like a whirlpool in the etheric, in which information is moving in and information is moving out. It's like a whirlpool.
Yeah.
So the in is clockwise and the out is anti-clockwise?
Yeah.
That's what you-
The movement out is anti-clockwise and the movement in is clockwise.
Any changes from time to time?
Yes.
Both at the same time.
It's both at the same time, so it can change over as well, sometimes.
I mean, the inward will be anti-clockwise and the outward will be clockwise.
This sometimes happens, yes. Yeah.
So why this information is not all the time? We can see it and feel it and be
That
connected.
is a good question. Because we block it.
So children can feel it? And
Children, if they are relaxed and open, they remember almost everything. Till they start to learn. Till they go to school.